Is it just me, or is it like the worst month to be running your first Kickstarter and not know what the hell you're doing? There's so many awesome RPGs on Kickstarter right now, and I'm feeling just a little overshadowed by giants. In this video, I just wanted to share with you the 3 projects that I'm backing and that I'm very excited about. I'm not offering any kind of exclusive behind the scenes or sneak peek, just going over each of the game's Kickstarter pages, which at the time of this recording are all live. None of these creators have paid me or given me anything. I just genuinely love what they have in store, and I wanted to share it with you. The first one is Relic, a quote, tabletop RPG of camaraderie, teamwork, exploring the wilderness, and encountering colossal titans in a world haunted by its past. The first thing to note about this game is that it's designed by Ben Nielsen and illustrated by Victor Costa. These are the same 2 guys who made Wicked Ones, which I've previously reviewed on this channel. I'm not sure if I communicated it clearly in that review, but I thought Wicked Ones was a masterpiece in terms of the actual game design and its layout and artwork. Everything really fit together extremely tightly. So when Ben told me he was working on Relic, I figured it would be good. Then when I saw the Kickstarter page for it, I was kind of blown away. In the game, players are Titan hunters who hunt any of several different types of Titans and utilize a variety of talismans. The most obvious touchstone would be the classic video game series Shadow of the Colossus, but aesthetically it feels like Hayao Miyazaki. These are in fact 2 of the listed media touchstones for the game, along with Monster Hunter, Breath of the Wild, and Moana. There are so many creative ideas oozing from this game, like 3 different settings that are all within the same world, but have a different look and feel. They all seem fairly distinct, and I think the artist Victor Costa does a lot to accomplish that. Rules-wise, I thought it cool that Ben even further evolved his own take of Forged in the Dark and made it even more accessible and narrative-driven. Wicked Ones might have been on the edge of calling itself a Forged in the Dark game. Relic dispenses with the label entirely. The physical offerings come in 3 books, each covering the different settings, and optionally a slipcase. There might be some physical maps and even some reusable stickers too if the stretch goals are met. Pretty notably here is the heavy emphasis on virtual tabletop assets, including animated titans. Relic is being offered with both Roll20 and Foundry versions, and to be honest, I think that's how a lot of people play now, online. Someone may have done it before, but this is the first time I've personally seen animated assets for a VTT offered by the original creator, and I think it's great. In general, I like the move towards more cinematic play, and I love the artwork and overall feel that this game promises, and the emphasis on teamwork to take down a Colossus is really something I can't wait to try out. Also, at the time of this recording, Relic will now come with a 5e conversion kit, so you can take the fight to the Colossus in a more mechanical, simulationist approach, if that's the rule set you're more inclined to use. The second Kickstarter I'm pumped about is Mothership. Just to be clear, Mothership has been around for about 3 years now. It was originally released as a sort of beta or 0 edition and got a lot of circulation in part because it was and is free to download, but also because it was just a fun, well-designed sci-fi horror game. I really dragged my feet in reviewing Mothership, mostly because Ben at Questing Beast already did a great job of it, and because at the time I wasn't that into the OSR scene or the zine printing format. I still don't dabble in OSR much, but this new official first edition of Mothership on Kickstarter really does demand attention. The creators, Sean McCoy and Alan Girding, spent the last 3 years gathering feedback and playing their game so much that they were able to narrow it down to the very best set of improvements possible. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a huge physical collector of RPGs, and Mothership, even with all its crowd-pleasing boxes and maps and dice and shirts, still doesn't tempt me to pledge for the physical version. I'm interested in the design content and the internal organization of pages and the artwork, and Mothership has really delivered on that front from what I can tell. I'm a huge fan of their simplification of combat and health, and a number of other smaller improvements. You can tell from the Kickstarter page that the fans of Mothership are excited about the improvements to the game's mechanics, and so am I. I'm probably equally excited to see all of these upgrades to the game being reflected in the award-winning modules that have been released over the years. It just seems like I was always holding back on getting into this game because it always called itself a 0 edition, and that bugged me. But look, first edition is coming out now and it's polished to a gleaming shine. You know what else is interesting? Nowhere on this Kickstarter page does it use the term OSR. Whether Sean and Alan invoked that label in the past, I'm not sure, but it's refreshing to see this game assume its own identity without that crutch. It's a deadly horror RPG, and I'm happy to be a backer. The third Kickstarter I wanted to share with you was CyBorg. This one is from one of the chief creators of Morkborg, and at the risk of oversimplifying it, it is Morkborg but cyberpunk. Johan Nohr has taken great pains to point out that CyBorg is not just a reskin of Morkborg, but rather something fundamentally different. I'm excited about this game because I loved Morkborg. It was fast and easy to play, it was dark but hilarious, and it had some really interesting layout and design choices. CyBorg looks like it shares those same really positive qualities. It appears that a lot of the checkboxes for a cyberpunk setting are checked. Dystopian corporate domination, technology as the chief instrument of humanity's absolute suppression, a grungy cityscape, and neural interfaces. There is one unusual element here that I first encountered in Kyle and Fraser Simon's cyberpunk game Hack the Planet RPG, which I reviewed on this channel a while back, and that is ecological catastrophe. One thing that really makes the setting unique is the more traditional horror that Johan has incorporated into the enemies. Skeletons wielding automatic rifles wouldn't normally make sense, but if you explain that it's because they are riddled with nanites that are driving their movement, it can actually be pretty neatly rationalized. With the nanite explanation, actually, a lot of death metal elements are possible. Truly grotesque things, not just thugs of Japanese descent in Armani suits wearing wraparound mirror shades. A lot of what has made CyBorg special is the approach to stretch goals. They are set at very modest thresholds despite the project being meteoric in terms of its funds raised. Thus, at the time of recording, over a dozen really interesting stretch goals have been unlocked. The two that are most notable to me are the online generators by Carl Druid, who won awards for his online generator for Morkborg. The generators will make characters, a ton of different missions for the game, and NPCs. The other thing I thought was pretty remarkable was the list of guest writers. A total of 19 writers will be contributing to the game, each of them with some degree of experience and success in the indie RPG world. Not all of them appear to have experience with cyberpunk or horror specifically, but that probably just means they're going to come up with something really unique and thought-provoking for the game that might be outside the normal bounds of the genre. Also worth noting is the stretch goal that will increase the pay to all writers and contributors by 50%. You gotta love that Swedish sensibility of spreading money around equitably. Yes, non-Swedish creators have done this in the past and it's not terribly uncommon, but I really admire and support this project just because of this one stretch goal. That's pretty much it. I'm really looking forward to these projects all coming to fruition. You can count on the fact that I will be doing a review of each of these games on my channel when they become available commercially, but don't take my word for it. Take the plunge on at least one of these, you won't regret it. All right, thanks for watching, see ya.